TMI. Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker.
So Halloween's over, and yet we've decided to just stay in the genre.
We are. It's still kind of spooky out. We're continuing on. We're plowing forward.
Yes.
And this is a brand new episode, everyone. Thank you for listening. Hello.
Yeah,
welcome.
As opposed to a rerun.
You may think that this is a 0.5 because it's a standalone movie, but no. We have never covered, as of November 2025, we have never covered Young Frankenstein before. And not only is this a brand new episode, it is a 5-bucket
This
episode.
is a well-deserved 5-bucket. But I think when we decided to do this, and it makes perfect sense, this is a movie that is infinitely quotable. And my concern was, well, are we just going to spend our hour?
That was funny.
Regurgitating every joke in this movie because it is, like I said, infinitely quotable. You could just, from beginning to end.
So much so that it could be seen as being taken for granted. You know, like, everybody knows Young Frankenstein. Let's not cover that.
Yeah. Well, that's not entirely true because I found a Reddit page devoted to people who have no clue why this is held in regard.
People that just watch it with a blank face.
People who have, I've heard about this movie. I'll read you a quote later and it just boggles my mind. But is it generational? Is it the fact that it's spoofing a 40-year-old movie 50 years ago?
It could be, but this was, as many of our movies are, this was a huge HBO movie for me as a kid. You know, having HBO, being lucky enough to have it growing up and kind of being force-fed whatever they were showing. And Young Frankenstein being a PG movie, it was shown during the day. It was shown repeatedly because HBO would get a movie for a month and then show it like every 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was trying to think, and it had to have been those early HBO days.
Yeah. So I saw it over and over again as a kid in the 70s, when I was still in the single digits. And I just thought the thing was the funniest movie ever. Like
It is. Regardless of the source material. I will say Bride of Frankenstein was on the other night and I watched it, and it makes you appreciate this movie even more so. Because there are some scenes that are spot on, and you're laughing at Bride of Frankenstein because you're thinking of Young Frankenstein.
Because, all the choices that Brooks and cinematographer, they mirror all those classic James Whale. Not only the James Whale, but I was watching one of the commentaries, not with the interviews with Gene Wilder, and he was like, this is based on Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, Return of Frankenstein. So he knows all of them.
So it's wild because, like the resurrection scene is from the second movie. It's from Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
It's crazy. Like you just think this was Frankenstein, but you watch it and you're like, oh no, he pick and chose from all of these. Like the inspector character, I think was from Son of Frankenstein.
And I don't want to start us down this path, but a riot is an ugly thing. Yeah. It's about time we had one.
Yeah. No, like I said, we're just going to quote this stupid movie to death. And it's well deserved. And I think, you read a lot about it. I did find myself when I ordered this from a library and I picked up a Blu-ray, which is really nice.
Yes, and I did the same thing because I tried to buy the Blu-ray just so I had it. I had a DVD. I didn't want to watch it on DVD.
Right.
It's out of print. It's out of print or it's like the Canadian copy that maybe won't play on my Blu-ray player. So it's not readily available to buy on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I will say I didn't watch the commentary, but there was a feature where it's a little pop-up window would every now and again you could watch the movie and then Mel Brooks would show up or some of these historians would show up in a corner and talk about the scenes, and they overlap the dialogue of the movie. But I've seen this movie so many times. I'm like, well, that's fine by me. I think he said it was like 2008. He referenced because that was right around the time that Young Frankenstein, the Broadway musical, dropped. So I think there was a lot of talk about that. The lady who directed that as well.
Yeah, we must have had the same Blu-ray edition because that was on mine as well.
Yeah, but more so, my library also had this beautiful hardcover, The Making of Young Frankenstein, a Mel Brooks book. And so it's gorgeous. There's a lot of behind the scenes photographs. I probably could have got more information from watching a commentary, but it was neat. And so I picked it up and been plowing through it. To
your point before about maybe there's a generational divide here. When I saw this, I was a kid, not saying that this would only appeal to kids. That's not the case. But that's why it's so near and dear to me, is because it gave me my first real blast of cinematic comedy where like I'm laughing close to crying. Like I would watch through this movie just waiting for the putting on the Ritz part and just laugh every single time.
Which Mel Brooks fought against. He did not want that in the movie.
Which is crazy, which is like it was too silly. Have you not seen the rest of your own movie?
So this is interesting because this movie came out the same year as Blazing Saddles.
A year apart, because I believe Blazing Saddles came out 73 and this was 74.
But it was like a year and there was like, okay, so it wasn't the same year, but it was in the like they were just finishing up Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, it was one going into the other. Yes.
Right. He was, I think early on, he was doing like final edits on Blazing Saddles. So, I mean, I guess Blazing Saddles is a spoof of the Western genre. And this would be like up until that point, like give me another movie that really kind of spoofed a genre.
Right, and in such a way to kind of make itself visually indistinguishable from that genre.
Well,
like with all the wipes and the camera angles and the sets, the crazy, story about the set. The original designer had the Frankenstein lab in his garage.
That's really wild. Imagine that. I mean,
how big is your garage?
Right, correct. If only we had that. Oh, it's in my garage. I got it.
Kenneth Strickfaden. He must have taken it home in 1931.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they called him up. Somebody knew somebody. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. I'll bring it over.
Yeah, correct.
And he built some additional lab equipment.
Yeah,
for
plugged it
Mel
all
Brooks.
in. It all worked. Zaps. Bzz.
And the one thing I was looking at, I'm like, is that real? Where the lightning, the electricity goes up through those two poles.
You could go to like any science lab. You go to any science. Yeah, because you couldn't do that stuff in camera, even in 74. Well, no, that's not true.
You could probably do it animation on
right? Just like the Star Wars laser pistols, they were just hand drawn onto the
or Fred Astaire dancing with Tom and Jerry or whatever.
Well, listen. Can't compete against a cartoon mouse. But
so that's why I love it is because it's, part of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I will say this, that when I showed it to my son, the first time he was much younger.
Yeah.
He guffawed through even the slightly funny things that I don't necessarily laugh at. And then as for subsequent viewings, maybe he's a bit more jaded, like the laughter was a little bit less. So it does really speak to younger kids. It's on their level.
I do believe that the Reddit review said that who outside of a 9-year-old is going to appreciate this. I'm like, well, I was probably around that age. I was younger than that, and we were all familiar with Frankenstein, regardless if you ever actually sat down and watched those movies. You knew enough.
They're everywhere. Those Universal monsters. Yeah.
James Whale directed Frankenstein in 1931 and Bride of Frankenstein in 35. So this is 40 years, 1974.
Yeah, and of course, all those other sequels not directed by Whale come out in the 40s until Universal just milked it dry.
And you figure those were based on Mary Shelley's book, which was 1818. She was 19 years old when she wrote this book, Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, whatever you want to. Is that the subtitle, The Modern Prometheus?
I think it's just the title. That's whenever you see this in writing, it's always Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus.
Or.
It's like having, a hit song with a little parentheses at the end of the title.
Yes, correct. It's like, what? Just pick a title.
I always hated the parentheses. Like, why is it in parentheses? If you
Right.
want it to be the title in the
Just make it
title,
the
just make
title.
it the title.
Yeah. So yeah, the 1974, like you said, I think we were prime audience for this thing. Drop it on HBO because this was right around the same time. You know, like I said, we talked about Silent Movie, which was 76. It's slapstick goofiness. This is a little more highbrow, I'm going to say. It's not, I mean, there's, you know, the Walk This Way thing, which is a vaudeville gimmick that Mel Brooks was like, it's too goofy. I don't want it in the movie. And only when audiences saw the previews.
Because somebody was fighting for it, and he's like, okay, to appease you, we'll put it in the preview cut, and then I'm taking it out. And they laughed so hard that they were forced to keep it in.
Well, but that's even, you know, you mentioned putting on the Ritz, you know, the fact that Gene Wilder was like, I want to do this. And he's like, this is crazy. You're getting goofy now. And he says, well, let's film it. Film it. In worst case, it ends up on the cutting room floor and we walk away. And he says, Gene knew what he was doing.
What makes it so funny to me is thinking that Gene actually having a real life argument, like is he yelling like Willy Wonka at Mel Brooks?
Yeah,
we must have it, and like his hair is going
crazy. There was a story where they got into a knockdown drag out fight.
Yeah,
in his apartment, and then Mel Brooks called back later and made some comment. He was like, "Who was that guy that was in your apartment screaming? That's crazy."
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. I say good day. Now we're just quoting Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
But this was Gene Wilder's idea when they were filming the producers, I think.
So I wonder if that burns him because, you know, before I started looking into this for this show, I was always under the assumption that it was a Mel Brooks baby, you know, so that's not the case.
Well, it's definitely collaborative.
Yeah.
And he did want Mel Brooks to direct it, but he's like, but I don't want you in it because Mel Brooks likes to show up in his own movies. Yeah. Do you know he shows up as 3 different characters in this movie?
But unrecognizable, like in the background.
No, he was the barking dog. He was like, he does like sound effects on the side or whatever.
Gene Wilder thought it would take people out of the movie to see him. And it does when you see Alfred Hitchcock in one of his own movies, it does.
Well, it's like, where's Waldo?
The proceedings stop right there.
Right. And we didn't even have social media back then. It was just word of mouth. It was like, I heard he was in that movie. It's like, what? Yeah, if you watch the crowd scene, he's in the back. So after a while, you start looking for him.
And unbelievably, this is like terigarr's big breakout role.
Yeah, the story is that they originally didn't want her, and she went home and put on a fake German accent and pushed up her boobs. She goes, I realized this character was all about the boobs.
Not her first rodeo. This is not the first movie that she was in, but she wasn't a known commodity at that time.
Right. Think about this is crazy. Out of this entire cast, Mel Brooks, who is now almost 100 years old, is the only surviving cast member. Everyone else is dead. This guy has seen every one of these people in his life come and go. I did read Anne Bancroft is in the crowd scene during Putting on the Ritz. His wife.
In dressed to the nines, I'm sure.
I'm probably.
Yeah.
Well, sure. If you're going to go see a monster show up on stage, you're going to get dressed up. But yeah, I mean, Marty Feldman was Marty Feldman, and he was almost a nobody at that time. It wasn't until this movie that he really kind of took off and people put him in last remake of Beau Geste, and later he was
Silent Movie, right?
Silent Movie was 76. Well, again, yeah, once you kind of work with Mel Brooks, I guess you're in his
you're one of his players.
Sure. But yeah, I don't think I realized that he actually had a thyroid condition, which is why his eyes look like that. And you could probably spend the rest of your life trying to hide that, and it was an asset to him.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And that scene where Gene Wilder says, damn your eyes, and he said, too late.
That's correct.
So I had never heard that phrase before. So even as a kid, I'm like, well, that must be a joke because that's a phrase people say, but I've never heard it.
I think it's a UK thing, yeah.
So I went to look it up, and it's, I think it originated in like the 1700s or something. But even by 74, I doubt that it was in wide use. So...
Well, but again, they're trying to emphasize the fact that this movie is taking place in the 30s.
Right. Well, no, I don't think it is.
Well,
because
no,
all
no,
those,
well,
all
okay.
the lab students are all dressed in, there's hippies in there, hippie lab students at the
Oh, you are
beginning.
correct. But I think it's like once you get to Transylvania, like you're transported to Transylvania.
Yeah.
It could have been
It goes back in time.
18,
Yeah.
right?
Because even the train that he's on, which, you're assuming, what is he taking a train all the way from New York to
I know. I
Transylvania?
wrote that in my notes. The wild thing is that when you really start to watch these movies and pick them apart so that we can talk about it, you start picking up on things that I've seen this. We both just mentioned, we've been watching this movie since we were kids. And yet the idea that the inspector has a monocle over his eye patch is hysterical. And I'm thinking to myself, what's a more like the monocle has just got to be laborious. Because the only way you can wear it is to squinch your eyebrow down, to furrow your brow,
to
hold it in
probably
place.
to make a permanent indentation in your skin.
And you have to squint to hold it.
Yeah.
So you're always looking like you're angry, at least in one eye. It's a monocle over an eye patch. He's already got a wooden arm, and yet you have to go above and beyond to add the monocle.
And just Kenneth, what is that actor's name?
Mars.
Kenneth Mars.
Kenneth Mars, yeah.
Who we've
Footsteps.
We've seen in The Producers and other Mel Brooks, but just his whole physicality of hitting the arm up, down, pointing
and it never
the fingers.
moves either.
Yeah.
It never moves. He's got it down to a science. That is vaudeville level physical comedy.
Yeah, and just punctuating every movement with "und" in the German accent.
Even like when he was throwing the darts. Nice.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
Well,
nice
you are now living in Transylvania, and he throws the dart through the window.
And then when the car leaves, all the darts are in the tires. All the tires are flat because he threw them through the window.
Yeah, and of course you hear the
little follow throughs like that.
The cat screech during one of those scenes.
That is Mel Brooks doing the cat. That's his contribution beyond. But you're right. The cinematography in this is spot on. The set design is unbelievable. And they were, in this book, they talk about the fact that they upped James Whale. Like, this set is more impressive than the original Frankenstein.
Well, you can get a complete sense of the scale of it when you just look at it. That opening foyer in the castle, is you can't even see the ceiling. It goes up so high.
Yeah.
And it looks, and as Gene Wilder was saying in his interview, like that set was solid. It wasn't like you could walk through and it's a paper wall.
Right, correct. I guess originally this was going to be a Columbia Pictures.
Yeah, they didn't want to do black and white.
Well, no, he threw that out there. Like they offered him up some money to make this happen. Obviously, coming right off the heels of Blazing Saddles. And as he's walking out of the meeting, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's going to be in black and white." And they're like, "Oh no, we can't."
But even before that, they weren't going to. They were offering him like half the budget that he wanted as well.
I think they only greenlit it for 1.75 mil, and he was demanding 2. And then our hero Alan Ladd Jr., who had just stepped in as head of 20th Century Fox, who would go on later to greenlight Star Wars. Only a couple years later, said,
did he also money? Did he also sign the Beatles? That guy,
Alan Ladd Jr.
No, I'm just kidding, because the Beatles were denied by Decca Records before they were signed to EMI and became the sensation that they became.
Did they ever do anything? Did they make
I would love, I'm sure that guy that said no was probably asked about it for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, let's talk to Pete Best and see how he feels about them. Moving on.
Yeah, I didn't like their drummer, so yeah, that's his reasoning.
Oh boy. So yeah, this thing, 20th Century Fox said, "Yeah, screw it, we'll do it."
To make it perfect, it should have been a Universal picture. But
correct.
You can't get more classic than the black and white 20th Century Fox logo up front.
Yeah. No, you're right. Universal would have been almost a little too spot on.
Yeah.
So, but
I wonder if they even attempted to go to Universal. That seems weird that they didn't.
I mean, if you're spoofing them, maybe they probably don't even want you making fun of their movies.
Yeah, maybe they're
like, what do you mean? No, we own that character. I'm not gonna make fun of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Columbia's like, well, here's what we'll do: film it in color, and then we'll turn it black and white at the end. He's like, that's never gonna happen. We know you. I know your tricks. Damn studios.
Yeah. What did he say? Like in the interview, like at some point somewhere in South America, it'll show up in color,
Yeah.
or in Europe.
Well, the interesting thing is all the behind the scene footage is in color.
I
So
love seeing that. I
they
love
even
seeing
go to
that.
the extent of painting Peter Boyle green.
Well, you have to because
Well, I mean, you could have. I mean, if you're filming in black and white, listen, better people than me with film and how things
yeah,
transition
I'm
from
sure
black and
somebody
white to
said,
color.
well, this
You could
color
have
will
done
turn
a
up. Yeah.
60% blue gray and got the same effect, But we know Frankenstein is green,
Is he
or is
though?
he? Or is he? Yeah,
Have we
exactly.
ever seen a
I was
color
going to say that's
photo
like
of
saying that
Boris
we know
Karloff?
Godzilla's green. It's like, well, that's not entirely true.
No, it's not.
So there are things that have jaded our memories of
But
some
of
of this
course,
stuff.
the Castle Frankenstein is the classic map painting you see at the beginning of
Yeah.
the opening credits. Always with that one little light on. What room is that? Is that Victor Frankenstein's room?
No, that is
Who
actually
knows?
where Frau Bluka lives.
Ah, when she plays her violin.
Yes. So I'm sure you saw this, which is, I guess, the urban legend is that he chose that name because Bluka sounds like glue in German. And that's why the
Glue?
horse is Winnie. Yeah. And
Ah.
that's not true. It's not true at all.
Is
Um,
it just more, it's much more random than that?
it is much more random than that. Yeah, that is an urban legend that is why he chose that name.
Also, it's to be noted that when Mel Brooks's directing credit comes up at the beginning, the music really swells. Bum, bum, when you
Oh,
see his name.
he's like, I want this one to be big.
Yep.
Yeah, think about this guy right now. He's out there filming Spaceballs 2, 99 years
Unbelievable.
old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. He is going to be the 2,000-year-old man. Unfortunately, we don't have Carl Reiner anymore. So, yeah, I mean, it starts right off with dead skeleton corpse of Frankenstein
Yeah.
with his little box. Did you watch? There's a ton of behind the scenes deleted scenes. So it's interesting because a lot of that is all preface. It's all the family getting around during the reading of the will and who's going to get what. And they find out that it's the grandson. If for some reason he decides to go into medicine, then he gets it all. The scene extends with the guy when he goes to the lab and meets with Frederick, and then they're walking the streets, and there's a street musician playing the music on the violin, and Frederick kind of like goes into a trance, and this guy realizes that yep, he is in fact a Frankenstein, and we're going to send him on his way. So all that stuff's been cut, which I think it just get into it. I don't need to know his motivations. Is even just the opening scene with him where he's, teaching his class, and
Which is a great scene.
Have they never been in his class before that they immediately call him Frankenstein?
It could be. Yeah. And the student that's questioning him is Brainy Smurf.
What?
That's
his voice?
Isn't your name Frankenstein or Frankenstein?
Wait, is that true?
Papa Smurf. Yeah, it's true. That guy voices Brainy Smurf.
No, I did not know that. Aw, I would have appreciated that scene even better now.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Brainy Smurf when you look at him.
Now that you point it out.
Yeah.
It's typecasting. All right.
But poor Mr. Hilltop, the old man that's the lab rat here in his classroom.
That's the judge from What's Up, Doc?
Is it really?
Yeah, he's also in Blazing Saddles and I think in The Producers.
Oh.
He's been around for a while. But
you mother-grabbing bastard.
Do we just lose calf muscle that we have to wear black socks with garters?
With suspenders, sock suspenders.
Sock suspenders. Do they still make them?
Well, you become a shriveled up old man and suddenly you can't get socks small enough,
Nobody
apparently.
ever figured out how to make socks with like expanding, like a rubber band top.
Very famously made fun of by Jerry Seinfeld, men do not like to buy new underwear. They will wear them until they disintegrate into the air. Could be the same with socks. I'm not going to buy new socks. I have perfectly good socks, but they just don't stay up anymore.
Back in those days, they also darned their socks. So that is true. I don't know. I'm like, well, is that still a thing? Or have sock technology advanced enough that we don't need that?
Or it's just, a nice old man joke visual. Sock suspenders.
Oh, somebody had been buying those things.
Then, of course, the coup de grace of this lab scene where he stabs himself with the scalpel.
Yeah, you can see the padding in his leg now. But But again, you're looking for this stuff. It's like, all right, is that scalpel really? Yeah, it was a real scalpel.
But Gene Wilder, like his name is apt, Gene Wilder, because this man is a wild man on screen, especially in Young Frankenstein. He's crazed during 50% of this movie, and I love him for it.
Oh, absolutely. So you mentioned before Willy Wonka. Was that prior to this or after this?
Yes, that Willy Wonka was 3 years prior to Young Frankenstein.
72.
71.
No, 71?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But you're right. This is when he gets it, when he goes, he's unhinged. And just his hair alone is enough to make you think that.
And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on there with that hair? Is this a comb over? Is this a style choice?
I will tell you, I think it's just unkempt and uncontrollable, because we'll talk about this, but I did get a chance to meet this man and his hair was just out of control. It wasn't, he knew he was going to a theater to meet people, and it's like, it's a choice. I'm not doing anything with this. So, but this is where he grabs my grandfather's work was doo-doo and stabs himself.
Because again, the language used, doo-doo, cuckoo. This is like on a kid's level, this stuff.
You are. It's poopy jokes.
And then of Madeline Kahn is Elizabeth on the platform, who will not let him touch her in any way whatsoever. Yeah,
she's like dodging. What, she says, my hair, my taffeta, my nails.
He blows a kiss.
He throws her a kiss. She dodges. And you think she was coming off Blazing Saddles as well. Yeah.
But this is, the long train ride. We assume, because the train is different. If you watch when they say train to New York, and then suddenly it's train to Transylvania.
We're like, did you just train it all the way to Transylvania?
Yeah, he changed. At least he did change stops at some point, but apparently maybe it was a train ride across the ocean.
Yeah, there's no reason to actually show that.
Yeah.
That's but again, the couple in the back that's arguing, it's the same couple later. They're just yelling at each other in German. It's the same actors. I'm like, it's just stupid little throwaway jokes like that. But excuse me, boy, is this like he's going into Chattanooga Choo Choo?
But right after Elizabeth, we meet Igor.
Igor.
Yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein. That's Frankenstein. Are you Igor? Igor. Hump. What hump?
Yeah.
So think about this. Within a 10-minute window, you get the roll in the hay. You get what knockers, Frau Blucher, and hump, what hump, all within like.
And Walk This Way as well.
Walk This Way, which inspired Aerosmith to actually write that song.
Oh, if they could have had Marty Feldman like on backing vocals with that, or just to sing the chorus
up on stage.
Walk this way. Talk this way.
No, like this. Kids of the king. Like you said, even at the time, Mel Brooks is like, nah, it's too broad. We can't do that. He's like, no, keep it in.
There are very few things in Young Frankenstein that when I was a kid that I didn't find funny, but those are the things I find funny now. Like werewolf, wolf. Yeah.
That's still, again, any given point in my day, I can probably throw out one of these lines of dialogue.
Yep.
And somebody will immediately know what I'm referencing.
So then we get to Frau Blucher, and I feel like we should have horses whinnying whenever we say that name.
Yeah.
Cloris Leachman is very understated here. And all the funnier for it. Like that scene where she's trying to offer Fred Froderick something.
Warm milk? Brandy?
Ovaltine, perhaps. And whenever he says no, you can see her face is hurt. She flinches at every line that somebody else calls back to her.
What's amazing is that there are very few ad libs. Like 98% of this stuff was written on the page that Gene Wilder wrote. That was one of the ad libs I think she threw out there, was the Ovaltine, as well as later Gene Hackman with his espresso comment.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I mean, again, watching this 100 times, but now watching it with a keener eye, like when she's leading them, they get to the castle and she goes, stay close to the candles. The staircase could be treacherous. The candles aren't lit. And It's such a stupid throwaway line, and you're like, wait, it means nothing.
We get the bookcase scene, another standout for me as a little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Again, it's slapstick comedy.
And terigarr here with that hilarious accent. Every time she says back, it's Beck. Put the candle back. So from that point on, whenever Gene Wilder says the word back, he says Beck, just like she does. And it's said multiple times for the rest of the movie.
That's funny.
Get Beck, get Beck.
Well, that's even like when Elizabeth shows up at the castle and he goes to kiss her and she's like, no tongue. And then the rest of the scene, he doesn't talk with his tongue. He's just like, he's all in, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't imagine. I did see after the wrap that he kept coming up with they wrapped filming and he kept coming up with new scenes. And Mel Brooks is like, we're done. We're done. He's like,
yeah, because he didn't want to leave.
He's like, this is the happiest time of my life right now. This is the happiest I'll ever be. And
Mel Brooks himself says that this is probably his best movie that he's directed.
It is an ensemble. Yeah. Like, you take away any one of these actors and you got diminishing returns. Everybody just steps up. Yeah.
And I love the love the transition when Igor is sketching after they discover the secret laboratory and he's got that crazed scene. It could work.
Yeah, because
they're talking about the being, right? And Igor is sketching him and he just hangs it somewhere and starts to swing it. And that transitions to the dead genius. Peter Boyle swinging on the noose.
Which we never find out like why he was hanged.
That was not a deleted scene. That was not a deleted scene. No,
as far as I know, there was nothing. I mean, maybe it was there on the page. They just never filmed it or whatever. Yeah. But you're right. That whole scene where he's going through his grandfather's papers and he realizes that it could work, and he's like, well, but the body has to be has to be big enough to accommodate and blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, he would have an enormous Wasserschlacker or whatever it is. And he goes, of course. And then Marty Feldman just offset. He goes, he's going to be very popular. Again, just a stupid throwaway line.
And as they're sneaking down the stairs to get to the library after they go through the bookcase, Gene Wilder says to terigarr, close your robe. And she's got no robe.
Robe.
She just ties like a string across her bazooms, and that's it. That's her robe.
You're right, though. That transition is great.
But that leads to the grave robbing scene.
And again, more slapstick with the hand sticking out.
With the hand sticking out, yes. And he's picking the nails of the dead hand.
As
and you would think that noise would wake up the entire village square, like after they lose control of the coffin on the cart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not raining. And then it starts raining.
Oh, do not use this brain. The brain depository. After 5 p.m., slide the brains through the slot.
Yeah, the brain depository. Yeah. And again, I didn't realize in the original movie that, so it's not Igor. Igor doesn't show up until one of the later original movies. I think the first assistant was Frederick. He does grab the wrong brain. He grabs a mutated brain, which is what causes the monster to not function.
And when they're actually performing the electrocution scene, for lack of a better term, I love that they're superimposing whatever they're doing. They're projecting onto Peter Boyle's face.
It was a hollow mask that they lit from underneath. It was something that was like a hollow head that was a cast of his face to make it look so you could see like the eyeballs were glowing. Yeah. But again, so simple in execution, but it looks genius.
And then it doesn't work. And of course he goes, we will accept our failures with dignity and grace.
And then just starts beating the crap out of it.
I don't want to live. Another one, again, just naming out some lines of dialogue, but like, did you make a yummy noise? I just heard a yummy noise. I didn't make a yummy noise.
It wasn't me. And then again, this devolves into charades. Yeah, and they're trying to, because the monster's choking him out. He said it, Tony Wood.
Sedative. Give him a sedative.
This is so stupid.
Of course, are introduced to the inspector during that whole dart scene. So now the town is beginning to suspect Dr.
And that's a great scene too, because somebody in the mob He goes, we've all had nightmares from 5 times before because there was 5 movies prior to this.
Mhm.
So he's referencing the 5 previous monster movies.
What brain did I put in? I will not be mad.
Yeah, right. You won't be mad. No. But this is also, I mean, this scene is, again, if you've never seen the original Frankenstein, you know the scene at the side of the lake where the little girl's picking flowers.
Yes.
And he bends down and starts picking flowers with her. And when he runs out of flowers, he throws her in the water.
In Young Frankenstein, the little girl is a bit persistent when she tells him, especially to sit down on the seesaw. Sit down.
And he literally like looks at camera like we know where this is going.
Well, no, when she says, "What shall we throw in now?" He looks at the camera.
Yeah, that's where you go.
So you're thinking, "Oh, he's going to throw her down the well."
Yeah, because that's what happens in the movie. Right. Now she catapults back into her bed.
Then he meets Gene Hackman right after.
And again, this is all from Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
The blind. They really used hot scalding soup, by the way.
They did? Really?
They did. They put like some big apron on his lap because they were afraid that he was going to get burned.
Oh, okay.
That's like method. You could have just pretended it was hot. Yeah. You know, the fake thumb that catches on fire. But again, you think about this whole scene, Gene, like the monster is playing straight to all the shenanigans that are going on with Gene Hackman as the blind guy. In the original movie, he gives him some soup and then puts him to bed, tucks him in. I go, oh, that's sweet. You know. But you're right. This is where he lights his thumb on fire and wow! Wait, I was gonna make espresso. Like it's just.
And as a kid, I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I think it's funny.
It is funny. That's right up there with Ovaltine.
There's the great scene where Gene Wilder says, "Whatever you do,
whatever you
do not open that door." You know, when he goes in. Yep.
Within like a minute.
Yeah. But he calms them down and they train him, and then just a la King Kong, right? They put on a show in town, so where all the scientists come with their wives. And what does he have them do? He will walk heel to toe, and then he gives them a little treat like a dolphin.
Hey, it was going pretty good.
They were putting on the Ritz until that damn spotlight blew out and freaked them out.
That's the end of it. Yeah, that was the end of it. He tries to get him back in control, but it doesn't happen.
Now, back in those days, did you just bring vegetables in case you didn't like the show?
I think probably somebody actually sold them. At the front, it's like, you got your playbill and you got the
just
tomato.
in case.
If this thing goes sideways, I'm ready.
You got to let them know.
Yeah, that's a lost art. No more standing ovations. I can just throw vegetables at you.
So yeah, poor Frankenstein gets carted away. He's a prisoner, and at the same time, Madeline Kahn shows up to the castle, and then you get the scene with, "Can I help you with the bags?"
You take the blonde. I'll take the one in the turban. And then he bites the damn stole. Apparently that took multiple takes because
that's what I did see, is that they did show some bloopers from that sequence that Gene Wilder could not stop laughing.
There's got to be like 3 hours worth of bloopers. The
guard that is threatening the monster with the fire, he's killed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's forgotten by the time that, they see that the monster is now calm. He's like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, well, he deserved it.
Nobody liked him anyway.
Not correct.
But the monster escapes, finds Elizabeth, takes her, and then you've got that.
So how did she end up with
Which is a rape scene.
Yeah, but the minute she sees his schlong, she starts breaking into song. You old zipper neck, you. Like I said, only Mel Brooks can make a rape scene funny. Woof. So where did she get the Bride of Frankenstein hair?
The monster scared her so much that it put white streaks in her hair.
Yeah, okay.
They're again playing the violin to draw him back, and that's why he leaves Elizabeth. And Marty Feldman with the horn. Was it a French horn?
I don't know.
Yeah, and he's waiting for his moment, just sitting there.
He just steps into frame. Like I said, Bride of Frankenstein was just on TV the other night because it was Halloween. And she shows up for like a minute at the end of the movie. They reanimate her, and he immediately rejects her. And then destroys the castle, killing everybody. I'm like, well, there's no happy ending there whatsoever.
Nope.
She didn't even have a chance to seduce him. Crazy.
But the mob shows up, just as it does pretty much every movie. The angry mob. break down
With
the
the
door with the
pitchforks and,
inspector. They use the inspector as a battering ram.
It's a battering ram.
Yep.
I did see there's a scene where they're running through the woods chasing the monster, and one of the guys runs into a tree. And I was like, that's funny. I don't think it was supposed to happen.
But they're doing the transference as they break into the castle. So I guess Frankenstein is trying to give a bit of his brain to the monster to calm
it's
him
never
down.
really kind of explained what his thought process was here. That
Yeah.
the only way to quell this beast is to transfer part of or all of his brains into the monster.
Because once the mob comes down, the monster is now, cognizant of everything, and he's able to speak to them. He has a little monologue. When they first come in, Kenneth Mars, who do you think you are? I am the monster. Yes, you are the monster. The mob is very happy with the results of now that the monster is no longer terrifying. You see all the individual stories wrap up where you see now the monster is married to Elizabeth, who is full on Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And has a separate hamper for his poo-poo undies in the bathroom.
And he gets braided. That's where you go crazy and just start indiscriminately killing people.
And now you see that Gene Wilder has married Inga. And what has he gotten from the Frankenstein monster in return? Apparently a huge Schwanstücker.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Did that mean that he took it away from the monster?
I don't know, because then Elizabeth wouldn't be happy.
No, she would not.
It's a nice little exclamation point that Inga now has herself a monster schlong
Yeah.
to play with.
But yes, so funny.
Keep your hat on. I'm keeping my hat on.
This was a Christmas release in December of 1974.
That's a fun family movie.
As we said, Mel ended up getting $2.7 million for the budget. It made $86 million at the box office, so a worthy investment by 20th Century Fox.
Sure.
I couldn't imagine seeing this for the first time, sitting in a theater with an audience, seeing this for the first time. That has got to be like a 1 in a million cinematic experience.
Especially with a full audience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we were just stupid kids sitting at home going, what does that mean? But when you're surrounded by people who are laughing, it's infectious. Like you can't help but like, oh, I guess that's funny. I should laugh.
And I'm sure that people probably went back to see it again.
Yeah. So when they did the premiere, they had created 1,000 Young Frankenstein shirts that they handed out to everybody for just, I guess these are like highly sought after now.
Really?
Mel Brooks even said if I knew they were going to be collectible, I would have made more. Then they wouldn't be so collectible.
Then they wouldn't be so collectible.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Peter Boyle actually met his wife on the set. I believe that she was a writer for Rolling Stone at the time.
Really?
And to think about the poster art too, which is very iconic with the two heads and the castle in the middle. That was famed illustrator John Elvin.
And I did read in multiple places that Gene Wilder and terigarr were a thing for a while.
Sure. How could you not be? I guess that was before he met Gilda.
It must have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the funny stories that Mel Brooks was saying in his interview, how, when he was a kid, it was right around the time of the original Frankenstein being in theaters, the Boris Karloff 1931 version. He was saying he was a kid living in Brooklyn and with no air conditioning in the summer, he would often sleep out on the fire escape. And he didn't want to after he saw Frankenstein because he was afraid.
Mom, close the windows. It's
that
110
Frankenstein
in here,
would
son.
get him.
I don't think we're going to. Sure.
And he said that his mother rationalized it for him. Like,
oh, this was great. Yeah, it's a great story.
You really think that Frankenstein is going to take a plane from Transylvania or take a ship, then take multiple trains, walk his way through New York City, walk up your fire escape just to get you? And he's like, yes, I do.
That is the irrational fear we all have. Yes. Yeah, do you not understand?
Which is great because she didn't say he's not real. Didn't just cut it off at the pass there.
Correct. He's like, he's not real. It's like, do you really think you're worth his time? Oh, well, that's kind of cold.
Oh, he's real. But do you think you're worth his time?
Right.
And one of the talking heads said that they thought that Young Frankenstein especially is like a metaphor for having children. And, that's valid. I can see that. The
Sure,
biggest
yeah.
love story that happens in the movie is
between the two of them, yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that in some of the photos that they were showing during the bonus features, one was of Gene Wilder dressed as the elder Frankenstein so they could take the portrait of
The
him that's
portrait,
hanging up
sure.
on. So he's dressed like that portrait in one picture.
Show up on set. Yeah.
Terigarr made $7,000 for her work in Young
What?
Frankenstein.
Oh,
Yes.
she deserves. I hope she got residuals.
I'm sure she did.
That's a shame.
So I can't say enough about this.
No.
It just, no matter how many times I see it, I still smile at all these stupid things. Every single one of them. Even
my
though
wife
I
was
know what's
thrilled
coming.
to know that to learn that we were going to be watching this.
Yeah.
It's like, really? And then, of course, had to recite half the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to proudly induct Young Frankenstein into our 5-bucket club right now.
Well deserved.
There we go.
So I mentioned this at the top of the episode, and I need to just read this because, like I said, maybe it's a generational thing. There are people that don't get this. So this was off Reddit, and you can only imagine what the follow-up conversation was. But just saw this movie for the first time after having heard mentions of it once in a great while for decades. The Rotten Tomatoes ratings are above 90 for critics and audience. So I sit down ready to enjoy another Mel Brooks classic. What a pile of shit. This movie is complete garbage. There are 2 or 3 jokes that land in the entire movie, and they just cause you to blow air out of your nose at that. The script, dialogue, and story are a jumbled mess of nonsense and boring. The acting is marred by an overacting performance from Wilder that would make early 90s Jim Carrey blush, and constant camera mugging by the rest of the cast. Why the critical praise? Who enjoyed that? Who enjoyed this that isn't a 9-year-old? What am I missing? So what are they missing?
Are you allowed to respond to these comments on Reddit?
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole point of Reddit, is to just crap on people. Reddit is an ugly, ugly place. I tend to stay away from it, but I was looking up reviews, and this one came across my radar, and I'm like, oh, that's worthy of at least mentioning. The Metacritic is 83, which is pretty high. Roger Ebert and TV Guide both gave this 100.
Yes, Ebert gave it a full 4 stars at the time. Siskel gave it 3 stars out of 4 and wrote, part homage and part send-up. Young Frankenstein is very funny in its best moments, but they are all too infrequent.
What? I love those 2 guys, and we probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, but get the stick out of your buttocks. Really? I think part of the problem, too, is that, these guys would get screeners and they just watch them at home. They're not watching them in a crowd. They're not watching them on the big screen. They're not taking in the experience.
Or they're watching it in an empty theater, just, for
that's
them.
Probably true. That's probably closer to, especially back in the day.
Yeah.
You didn't have DVDs mailed to your house. That's unfortunate. I mean, listen, there's probably someone out there right now listening to this going, yeah, I don't get it. And that's fine. It's tough. Like, we talked about Airplane, which and even like Top Secret with Val Kilmer, and like these spoof movies that, it's hard to really justify them because all you're doing is just repeating all the jokes that are in the movie. But I guess you have to have a somewhat of appreciation for the source material. And I think that's where this movie shines, is that, like I said, watching Bride of Frankenstein, and I'm just like, wow, he was spot on with some of this stuff. And he talks about it in the book, where whenever they got into a bind, he would continually go back to those James Whale's movies and find the pacing and find the camera angles and find the transition wipes and where to stop a joke from taking it too far. I do want to read one quote here, which I thought was fascinating. That's in this book, and I didn't see it in the commentary or anything else on the DVD. When they were editing this movie, and I don't think people really appreciate how powerful the editing of a movie is. to shape what we watch. We talk about it with Star Wars, and that Marcia Lucas, basically, George Lucas's wife at the time, came in and saved that end sequence of Star Wars. So apparently they were watching dailies and trying to edit. This is Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks. And they were both basically banging their head against the wall. They were like, this is horrible. Especially Gene Wilder was just like this. I thought this was a brilliant performance, and now I'm watching it. And so Mel Brooks says, let's not get excited. You have just witnessed a 14-minute disaster. In 1 week, you're going to see a 12-minute fairly rotten scene. In 2 weeks, you're going to see a 10-minute fairly good scene. And in 3 weeks, you're going to see an 8-minute masterpiece. So it's all about editing. It's trimming down. It's not getting falling in love with your material and like, I need to show every scene of this. You got to know when to cut. You got to know when to, what's funny, what doesn't work, when to end on a beat. Because I'm sure, like you said, the outtakes alone on this movie, it's got to be hysterical.
Yeah, that makes me think there's one scene in here where they actually shortened the scene because it was going on too long. It's one of the scenes where they're trying to control the monster going nuts. And they have a really noticeable close-up of terigarr's face at one point going,
okay.
And then it goes back to the scene.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He said they did that in order to cut about 3 minutes from that, or 2 minutes from that scene, because it was going on too long. And they just needed to put that little extra shot in there to make the transition.
So I did have a chance to tell Mr. Gene Wilder that I appreciated this movie.
Now, when was this?
So.
When was this meeting?
So if I had to put a date onto it, it was early 2000. Stamford, Connecticut. There was, I think it was Stratford on the Avon movie theater, and they've done these screenings with actors, and this was the producers. So they brought Gene Wilder in. We watched the producers, and then they did a Q&A on stage. And there was this annoying woman who just kept asking question after question about Mustel Zero. Like Gene Wilder is sitting right in front of you, and you're asking him about his co-star. So anyways, afterwards, he's milling around, and me and my friends go up to him and engage in a conversation. I tell him I'm a big fan of the Cisco Kid, and he corrects me that it is the Frisco Kid. So that was embarrassing. But that was before it was even, that was a movie that was on friggin' HBO. Harrison Ford. Yeah. Harrison Ford is in that movie. Anyways, long story short, he did sign my Young Frankenstein DVD cover, and I took a picture with him, and I look like the monster because I am absolutely starstruck. My eyes are as bugged as Marty Feldman's. And afterwards, one of the ladies who ran the theater came up and she says, he signed this for you? And they're like, yeah. And he goes, wow, you must have really caught him in a good mood, because they did a screening about a year before of Willy Wonka, and he would not engage with adults in any way, shape, or form. He would only talk to children, and he would only take pictures with kids. So the fact that he was like, oh, I feel bad for this guy. Look at him. He looks like he's going to die any minute.
Well, I mean, was there a line of
No,
people?
Not at all. No. As a matter of fact, after the screening, 90% of the audience got up and left. And he just walked into the auditorium, and we sat there talking with him. It was wild. Yeah. But again, his hair completely unkempt. It was just like he just rolled out of bed and said, all right, let's go. It was a fleeting moment. And it's one I cherish because it's Gene friggin' Wilder.
Yeah.
You see the picture of me, and my eyes are just bugging out of my head.
No wonder you said Cisco Kid. It's like you probably coming at him like Pac-Man there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my Gene Wilder story.
That is fantastic. So this is kind of a segue into our next episode. The reason that we did Young Frankenstein
I thought
is
this
because
was genius on your part.
There's another Frankenstein on the horizon for us. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which premieres on Netflix in about a week's time from our recording this. So next episode, it won't even be a 2-week wait time. It'll be next week.
Yeah.
We are going to drop our thoughts on the new Del Toro Frankenstein.
This is getting huge buzz.
It is, because it played in theaters briefly.
Yes,
so
correct.
a lot of people saw it.
So this is Netflix. Let's get it into limited screenings for Oscar contention. But you also, it's Guillermo del Toro, Oscar Isaac. Who's the girl? Mia
Pearl.
What the hell?
Mia Goth.
Mia Goth. There you go. I've seen some screen grabs on this. This looks gorgeous. Boy, we talk about how Mel Brooks really kind of captured that look and feel of those 30s movies. And this looks unbelievable.
But we didn't want to pair this new movie with Young Frankenstein because we really thought Young Frankenstein needed its own.
needs proudly it needs to sit in the $5 club.
Yeah. But going the other direction, what we are going to pair
shellac
with Del Toro is, on the complete other end of the spectrum, Frankenstein meets the Space Monster.
Now, I've never even heard of this.
Even really, because this was a big Saturday afternoon TV staple. So I've seen it many times.
Oh, you have? This would be my first screening.
Wow.
This is something I stumbled across and I'm like, oh, this sounds fun. Because to be honest with you, if we hadn't already covered Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, that would have been the way to go. Yeah.
And this is Frankenstein in name only. This is the ties to Frank are tenuous.
I don't care. I want to see a goofy monster movie. We're going right into our Godzilla episode in Thanksgiving. Yeah. And this is just the perfect way to kind of whet the appetite.
So if you want to watch this along with us and listen and then come back and listen to us again, Del Toro's Frankenstein will be on Netflix starting November 7th. And Frankenstein Meets the Space Monster is on Tubi, I believe.
I believe it is.
At any given time.
Where else would it be?
Yeah.
Tubi.
Yep.
That's where all schlock movies go.
So thank you for listening.
Yes,
to another
thank
episode.
you very much. And the only thing I can say to end this episode is Frau Bluka.
Frau Bluka.
There you go. All right. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Ooh, bye.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand. Roll, roll,